Hello and welcome to another edition of Choose to Challenge. Let's get loud about mental health. I am so excited to have my dynamic panel here. And we are going to be talking today about no more boxes, dealing with feelings of being marginalized. I am Luana Bradford with the Bradford Group, principal of the Bradford Group Consulting. And before we get started, I'd like our panel to introduce themselves, starting with the amazing Miss Maya Rubin.
Hi, thank you for having me here again today. Love being part of this panel. My name is Vismaya Rubin. I am the founder of Living in Gratitude Today. I'm a teacher, speaker, best-selling author, but my favorite role is that of a gratitude gangster. What?
Thank you, Miss Maya. Lindy.
Hey there, everybody. I am Lindy Eldridge. I am your Chief Happiness Officer of the Happiness Jungle, which means I am a speaker, an author, and a consultant and a mentor. I'm also the founder and creator of Cuddle Me Love Body Pillow and the host of I'm Crazy, But You Can't Lock Me Up podcast. And I'm all about helping you find you. Thank you.
Love it. Love it. Wendy.
Good morning. I'm Wendy Watkins. I am the Joy Strategist. I am a professional coach. I am the author of the Joy Factor recipe book, A Common Sense Approach to a Delicious Life, and the host of the emerging YouTube show, Making Stuff Up with Wendy Watkins, helping all people create a delicious life.
Love it. And we have Teresa. Teresa.
I am Teresa, and I am the Mom Biz Boss, and that stands for Moms Being Multiple Operational Managers. I'm a speaker, I'm an author, I'm a trainer, and I'm a coach. And I'm with our wonderful company, TWJ and Me, because I'm an enterprise, Teresa Wright Johnson, multiple enterprises, and I believe we all have an enterprise of some sort within us.
Love it. Love it. Well, welcome back, ladies. You know, the one thing that I love about this platform, we come together once a month and we talk about a variety of topics that can impact our mental health, our mental well-being. And today we're talking about those feelings of being marginalized. And marginalization can take on so many factors from race, sex, gender, culture, religion, education. We can go on and talk ad nauseum about it. But today we want to focus on our experiences as women. And it may mean something very different for each of us. There's no right or wrong. It's just, have we ever had those feelings? And we're going to dig into how those feelings may have impacted us mentally, emotionally, and what did we do to overcome them. And my example, I was talking to Miss Maya before we started today, was thinking back early in my career when I was on a business trip in Korea. And that was the first time I really felt, even though we know the U.S. is still a male-dominated society, we tend not to look at it that way. I think because women have so much empowerment, we're very different from a lot of other cultures. But at that time, I really felt that being a woman was a roadblock. So I was the team lead. I'm giving this presentation, letting them know what was on tap. And I noticed the room was still buzzing. I'm thinking, okay, I am up here. I'm standing at the podium, tap, tap, type. Is the mic on? And they're still talking. I'm raising my voice. They stop, they look at me, and they continue to talk. And I thought, okay, something's going on here. Well, my team partner was a man. He got up, and he started talking, and suddenly the whole room got silent. Same message. Different face. It was a man speaking to men. And afterwards, I really felt angry. So when we're talking about this whole mental health piece, I felt enraged. I thought, what do you mean? I'm actually the lead. You're the co-lead. And I know more about this project than you do, but you stood up, and just because what's between your legs, to be raw, they silenced themselves. But with me, there was no respect given. And he said, well, Luana, you have to realize in this culture, and so he was educating me just, culturally, the way the Koreans are, or were at that time, that men had to lead. They had to be the one to open up the gate, and then a woman could come and be more of the echo. but not the one that was facilitating the whole engagement. And so I really struggled with that. And we were there for 3 months. And I had to take a back seat so that we could get the job done. So that was my first, and I think you can tell I'm still angry about it, experience of feeling marginalized. I thought, okay, so it didn't matter that I knew the topic, was the subject matter expert. I was a woman, and they were not going to listen to me as the one steering the ship, if you will. So that's my experience. Whoever else wants to share your experience, have at it.
I love your example there, Luana, and it's something that is a little bit familiar, but more unfamiliar. My marginalization comes from my own internal comparison is what happens. I will marginalize myself, but I am triggered by powerful men, which is interesting, right? Because there's something there that, still kind of puts me in a place of comparison. And unless I catch myself quickly, I find myself going down the rabbit hole of comparing myself and not being good enough and forgetting that that is not true. And it could really mess me up, in the presence of powerful, who I perceive as powerful men. Now I know in my heart of hearts, they deal with the same stuff that I deal with, that we all deal with, right? And so that's a piece for me that I can marginalize myself, which has me showing up less than. And the more that I notice that and I work on loving and accepting myself as I am exactly all the time, but that's what triggers that feeling of marginalization, my own self-marginalization, which is a little bit of a wake-up call for me. Anybody else feel that way?
Mm-hmm. I want to just jump in what you just said, and I know Ms. Maya wants to piggyback on that, is just for our listening audience, when we're talking about marginalization, it's feeling that you're not being considered or valued, or perhaps there's a part of you that cannot be changed, and that is not being as valued as accepting in the whole, whatever that whole may be. Ms. Maya.
So when we, we had this conversation about what we were going to discuss this week, I was like, I've never been marginalized. I don't, or I block it out. Like, I really don't think that I've been in a situation like you've been, Luana. I think if I have, I've blocked it out. I've been, I was a teacher for 20 years, which is a very female dominated profession. I was always in my own classroom. But Wendy, when you mentioned that you marginalize yourself, there was something that went on for me. And I don't know if it's necessarily strong men. For me, I think it's more strong women. Even though I am drawn to strong women, I hang out with very strong women and movers and shakers. But there's always that something that comes up for me, where I have to remind myself I am just as qualified. I've got the same, maybe not the same credentials, but I have credentials. I have life experience. So that was very powerful when you said that. The other thing that comes up for me is I've experienced watching people marginalized, and those are people with mental health issues. My mom is bipolar. Her friends have some issues as well. And I know that there's times that I've had to stand up to doctors and to nurses and to receptionists because they're not treating her the way they should be treating her. They're not listening to her. They're not giving her the things that she needs. So I always step in as an advocate, and it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating because she wants to take care of herself, and then I have to jump in because she's not getting her needs met. So when that conversation of marginalization came up, that's really what people with mental health issues are not being heard. Mm-hmm. Sometimes.
That's a real powerful statement. And I think that's one of the reasons why we come every month on this platform, and we've entitled it, Let's Get Loud About Mental Health, because it should be a normal conversation. And no matter where individuals are in their mental health journey or struggle, you want to be heard, not devalued, not seen as less than, right?
I would say I'll go next. I would say I feel I get that often. I've had that happen to me often in the past. For a double sword from being a woman of color and being a woman. And just honestly, I've had it in the medical setting as a mother. At one point, I had children with special needs, very similar to mental health. And I remember a doctor at a leading hospital saying to me, well, when you leave here, you can walk over to and ask your boyfriend. And he had assumed, that because of my color and me being a young woman of color, that he had put me in this stereotypical box of who I was, and that definitely wasn't me. So I remember that, but I also always remember that and see that sometimes when I show up places. I remember I was going to speak somewhere one day, and it was a women's, no. It was an early childhood conference because I am a former early childhood professional. I walked in, it was in northern Georgia in the hills, and the lady said to me, well, hon, what are you here for today? Or who are you, and I said, I walked to the table, and I was the only woman of color, and I said, that's me right there. And it was my name, and she was like, oh. So I think because for me, I feel like I have double swords. Sometimes, it's a woman of color, being a woman, and sometimes being a multi-race woman as well, a multicultural woman. I see it often. So I feel like for me, I always am trying to prove sometimes how Black I am, how strong I am as a woman, and how qualified I am. So I really feel that often.
Wow, what you all are sharing is so extremely powerful. And the first thing that I thought of when, Luana, you shared this topic of marginalization, I immediately went back to my first 26 years of life, not being recognized, being just being tossed aside, right? Growing up. So I want to talk to people because sometimes we feel so lost in our own home community that we're having a hard time getting out there in the workforce, whether you own your own business or what have you. But here's what I'll share with you. How I got out of that mindset of nobody cares, insignificant, is I dug really, really deep into personal development, but I didn't only dig deep into personal development, I practiced what I was learning. And that's the way to get out of it. You have to be your best friend. You have to realize that you are more than enough. It's going to help you carry and pull your shoulders back, whether it's in personal or in business, but it all starts with you, not allowing others to treat you any differently than who you truly are. And when you take ownership of this, you learn that there are people in your lives, whether it's business or whether it's personal, you realize that a lot of people in your lives that you have met and that you have been challenged with go back into your acquaintance pocket and you build new relationships. And I share that with you because for the first 26 years of my life, I was marginalized. And then I realized, why not me? Why can't I be? I know my strengths. You see, that's the beauty of it. We really do know our strengths, but there comes a fear in front of us saying, if I share that strength, I'm going to lose people in my life. I may lose my job. I may lose the lifestyle that I have. But I'm here to share with you that loss sometimes is greater so other doors could open so you could be seen and heard and valued. That's my piece.
You said something that's very profound, and you ended it with be seen, be heard, be valued.
Mm-hmm.
And that has to first start within.
That's right.
And I think it's easier for us at this phase of our lives to look back and say, okay, we get it, right? But like you said, you went through 26 years of this struggle.
Mm-hmm.
I know, well, for women of color, we're women, okay, but we can't strip and change our skin. It is who we are. And so there has to be something else that enables us to rise up defiantly sometimes. but in a way that still stays true to ourselves and keeps us in a healthy state. Like I said, I was getting very angry. So imagine being on a job site for 3 months in anger. Think about that. That's very unhealthy. But that's where I sat. I didn't have the tools. I didn't know how to deal with it. I'm just dealing with men saying, hey, it is how it is. Just deal with it. We just need to get the job done. But I'm dealing with this internal thing about, okay, so in order for me to advance, in order for me to get respect in the corporate sector, I have to be a man. Mm. And what I found, what I was doing, and it's still a part of me, and I work with this, and Vismaya and I've talked about it, because I can be very bottom line. I can be very much in that masculine energy, and it's because of that experience. It's like, the feminine side, that's not a good side. Let me be more masculine in that approach. So I'm learning through communities like this, through other organizations, the Celebrate You, Women's Prosperity Network, how to embrace the feminine and say it's okay, and allow that strength to speak for itself. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And you know, one of the things that I've learned in my 61 years of life is that not every place you are is where you belong. And I fully understand what you say when you're in a room full of men and you're trying to get on stages, right? Because we're all speakers. And then there are those that don't want to listen to you. So let me share with you. And again, this all stemmed back because I dug so deep into personal development to find out who I am, right? And I remember one time I was on stage, and Luana, exactly what happened to you is happening to me. So I decided that I was going to do a silence of 30 seconds. And then I was going to go, and I did. I said to the audience, and I'm like, obviously you all have something to share with you that I probably am supposed to learn. So why don't you come up to the stage and let me hear your voice? And then when you say that you went ahead and you took the courage and you became more masculine, that's exactly what we do. But we don't lose our feminine side. Do you know not one person decided to come up to the stage? And I said, then we understand respect. And right now, guys, I have the mic, and I am asking for the respect and just for your complete attention, not your undivided attention. And if you don't want to hear what I have to say, the door is right there. And I'll wait 30 seconds for those to dismiss themselves, and then I'm going to continue. And I'm asking the room to please be quiet so I can give you the value that brought me to your stage. How about that? A few men left, but most of them stayed. And I was good with that, because not everybody's supposed to be in your audience either. And Luana, I really feel your pain. You know, in Asia, we are not looked at as equal. And, you know, you're talking about in Asia, even though in America, it's still happening, but it's really worse in Asia. It's worse in India. It's worse in all of these other places. So I have been invited to Asia to speak, and I said no. I have been invited to go to India and speak, and I said no. Because why would I want to do that, to have to prove who I am? I understood immediately that if I go ahead and let those doors close, another door will open that I'm supposed to go through. So it doesn't matter how much money I was going to get paid. And trust you me, it was a lot of money. But it wasn't about the money. It was about how was I going to take care of me? Because when you're in a strange place and you feel what Luana has felt, it's very lonely and it's scary, because who are you to be in their environment and to claim respect when they have no desire to give it to you? And that's just like the people in your life. If you're in a room and you are being disrespected, get up and leave. It's not, honestly, life is way too short. You have so much greatness within you. You have so much value. I want you to find your group, your tribe, like us. We're a part of your tribe to help you strengthen, because we love you and we believe in you. Those are the people that you want to be around. So we hear you, because I'm always hearing you.
I love that, Lindy. I want to pass the ball to both this Maya and Wendy, because this is now a little bit different. So we're talking about things external coming to us. The two of you are dealing with the battle of the mind and your perception. And from that perception, you have experienced feelings of being not less than or not worthy, undeserving. So let's dig into how did you overcome that, or is that something you still battle with?
For me, it's something I still have to, I still look at, I still battle, I still pay attention to, because we're like onions. So every time you take off one layer, you feel a sense of freedom, and then because you're peeling these layers off, something else comes up possibly, and then you peel that off and you get to the bottom of what's going on there. So I don't think you're ever cured, but I think that as you peel off more layers, the triggers are less and less. And that's what I've noticed with my son, what season I'm in. If there's a lot of stuff going on, maybe that's also what triggers me. I heard what you said, Lindy, and there was a big part of me that was like, no, I feel like we have opportunities that come up, and again, it's for me, it's about how do I manage that feeling of not being heard? Like, how do I, and I know that it's real. I'm not saying that it wasn't real and that your experience wasn't real, but it's almost like, why should I give up an opportunity for bad behavior? Like, I feel like there's got to be a way to manage that, so that opportunities are still available to us, so that we're not walking away from things because, oh, I'm going to be marginalized, I'm a woman. No, I have a message, and maybe have to find a different way to get in, because I do think that as powerful women, there's times that we come out with, and this is not a wrong, this is because we are powerful women, that sometimes our masculine side comes out, and I think that's really powerful. But finding ways to have both or play with both, I think, is also very powerful. And Luana, I would have been in your situation very upset also. But I think looking in, because I didn't experience that, I think, I would have been just as upset as you are. But then I think I hope I would try to say, okay, so like, what's going on there for me? Because I think a lot of times for me, when I get triggered, it's my ego. And I'm not saying that's for you. I'm saying that's for me. When I get triggered, it's like my ego. I put the work in. Why am I not, being paid attention to? Or why wouldn't they listen to me? Why do I have to have, a certain thing between my legs so they pay attention to me? I would have been frustrated. But I think if it's for the greater whole, that's a good lesson for us all to learn. Is like, can I step back and be part of the team to get the final result and not be angry about it?
I mean, that's a good point, because it was definitely ego.
Of course.
It was.
What's wrong with that? We're supposed to protect our egos. We're supposed to protect our pride, right? But, I guess I call whenever I say to somebody, you're bringing the New York girl out of me, like the New York street smart girl, I guess that's the masculinity in me, because that's when all of a sudden my muscles come out, and, I'm like, you are not going to bully me. I will guarantee you that, but I've just learned over the years that if I don't fit in, then why would I even want to be there? There's just way too much opportunity for me. I'm very, my life is stressless as much as it can be of how I deal with everything that goes on in my life. And I have to pick and choose where I want to be. I don't want to have to prove myself. I know who I am. People know who I am. And if I'm not appreciated, why do I want to be there? I will never chase money. It's not worth it. And the biggest thing is that, I was talking to somebody, this is about a relationship. You may be in a relationship where you feel less of. There's this couple that went out, and for whatever reason, the male was being hugged and loved, right? Hi, how are you? How is this? How is that? But his significant other was being completely ignored, feeling less of, feeling marginalized, and it pained her. So much so that she lost her voice over it. And I shared with her that communication is the key. If you don't express how you feel in a way that you could be heard, then these things are going to continuously happen to you. We have to stand up for us. You have to stand in front of you, be your best body shield, and don't allow anybody to make you feel that nobody has the right to make you feel invisible. But if you give them permission to, it's going to continue to happen. So that's why I shared with you that I will never go on the stages where I already know what I know.
I'm going to jump in right there because, and I think we all have different callings and different fights. And there is a time, as Miss Maya says, where even though you don't want to be there, and I'm not saying you specifically, this is generic you, someone has to stand up, right? Someone has to say, okay, I'm going to break through this barrier, and I'm going to be the trailblazer here. Someone has to, otherwise nothing ever will change.
That's right.
It will just, no one will ever be challenged for why they are being the way they're being. But I want to pass it because we're almost out of time. I want the last two remarks to come from Teresa and Wendy with this. And like I said, we could go on and on and on about this, but I want to be able to leave our listening audience with just some little solutions on what to do, whether you're feeling you're marginalizing yourself or it's coming externally. What can people do?
Well, it's all internal. No one can make you feel anything. It's how we choose to respond to what someone says or does. Now, I'm not saying that from a place of making wrong, right? Some people are more conscious of their response. Other people are not conscious of their response. Other people are waking up to how to respond. But when I keep, looking at this title of dealing with feelings of being marginalized, it's going to, yes, I love the conversation here. Like, we've got to make a difference. We've got to make a stand. That's not my path. My path is, how do we deal with the feelings? Right? I'm glad I'm on this tribe with Lindy and Luana and you ladies, because you're going to stand up there and you're not going to let it happen. But for me, it's like, okay, so how do we deal with the feelings? Right? Because they come up. And so for me, I'm in the midst of an amazing class right now with a colleague, Guido Szymanski in Germany. And he shared something that is so powerful. I can't believe I never thought of it in all my life and, all my years of work. But it's about when you're feeling marginalized or feeling like, for myself, all I could say for myself is when I'm feeling less than, when I'm feeling like I'm judging myself, because that's what happens. If I'm feeling judged by someone else, it's because I'm judging myself for whatever reason. And so I affirm that I love and accept myself exactly as I am, right? That's a Louise Hay affirmation from the 80s, and I sing it and I appreciate it. The add-on to this, what Guido shared, is to make that a power question and to journal, why is it so easy for me to love and accept myself as I am? Why is it so easy to do that? So I've been journaling like all the reasons why it's so easy for myself to. And as I step into that, I won't get as triggered when other people choose not to accept and love me as I am, whether it's because I'm a woman, I'm a white woman, I'm Jewish, whatever it is, right? Whatever it is. And that has been helpful for me. So I offer you that power question to help with your affirmations if you are finding yourself feeling that way. There's so much more I could say, but I know, Teresa, I know you got something juicy there, girl. So let's hear it.
Okay, well, I think it comes with courage and confidence. Courage and confidence, because regardless of how we're marginalized, we know who we are, or we have to learn who we are and walk in courage and confidence. And so it takes me back to like show and tell. I'm going to show you better than I can tell you. I'm going to show up as I am, who I am. One thing my parents taught me, I tell people all the time, I can be Teresa, whoever, but I am innately the same person. I'm going to show and tell you who I am, what I stand for, and you can assume what you want, but I know who I am. I know what I'm qualified for. You might try to hush or silence my voice. It doesn't matter, because I innately know who I am, and I'm going to show it. And those that gravitate towards it will, those that don't won't. And it reminds me of those doctors that I was saying earlier. They had never seen a parent like me, and they said, we see parents like you often. And they were saying Black moms, and I was a young mom, so they assumed I was a single mom. But I was a married, stay-at-home Atlanta housewife before it came up in about wife, okay, kind of thing. And they said, we just assumed. And they started saying, well, that's Zarya's mom. She will drop kick you for her baby. And I would. And they said this. They said, we'd like you to go down to talk to our legislators about these services for children with special needs. So I showed up. I showed them who I was, regardless of what they saw. And it opened doors because I showed and voiced what my belief was. Is I was confident and I know who I am. And so, but that comes with building that confidence, because that was not always there, because people do assume things, but I had to learn to build that. And I think that helps us in so many ways, even if we're not being treated the way we should be, but it helps us get through all of this.
I love that. So knowing yourself, be confident in showing up and expressing yourself, to not allow your voice to be silenced. And I really love asking yourself the power question, going beyond the affirmation. I love and accept myself, but the why, right? Peeling back that and getting to the core of what is it that we so love and accept ourselves for. That's pretty powerful. I think I'll go through that through that little exercise myself. Just for those that are listening, this show is for infotainment purposes only. It is not a substitute for medical advice or therapy. Please, for those of you that may be struggling, contact the National Suicide Prevention Hotline or text home 741-741 to 24/7 crisis support. And ladies, before we close, I want to just do a round robin, starting with Miss Maya. What lasting words would you like to leave to our audience?
I love what both of these ladies said. Show up, suit up, let them know who you are, and also do the work. Do the underlying work, and the question I ask myself is really, why am I being triggered? What's causing the trigger?
Love it. Lindy?
I love that too. I'm going to piggyback on all of you girls, because you're so wise. And the bottom line is, who are you? Do you really want to know who you are? Do you want to find yourself? Do you want to find your voice? Then absolutely, I'm going to go right back to it. Personal development is the key to your freedom.
Love it. Thank you. Wendy?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you are creative, resourceful, and whole. You are not broken. You don't need to be fixed, even though from externally people may think that you may try to make you feel that you are less than. You are not. You are perfect as you are, and find the tool to remember that and surround yourself with the people that remind you of that. So when you go into the masses that don't, you're full of yourself, and that's a good thing.
I love that. Teresa?
I think I'm going to go with, you are not imperfect, but truly we are all live life experts. So your life really makes you who you are. So you're not going to be exactly like anybody else, and it's great, because we cannot be like anyone else. So I just want to remind each of us that get to know yourself. That's so very important. Be okay with you, and then you're not going to be worried about, or you may not be worried about, because let's be real, some days we still worry about it, but you may not be as worried about other people's perspectives when you're rooted and grounded in who you are, so you can show them better than you tell them.
Normally I close out with a recap, but I just want the audience to sit in what they just heard. The four of you left some amazing golden nuggets. So for those of you that thought you were going to hear a summary, do a quick rewind, listen to what Vismaya, Lindy, Wendy, and Teresa said. These are some truths that I think you can hold on to get over any feelings that you have of being marginalized. And just remember, you matter. We look forward to seeing you next month on another edition of Let's Get Loud about mental health. Until next time, be safe, everyone. Bye.